Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Bryndís, and today we are doing a book haul. So I'm going to show you now all the books that I bought in June, and a couple of them, maybe in the first days of July, except obviously for the Agatha Christie books that I found at a charity shop that I have a video about on my channel. You can go check that out if you're interested. But so these books are also, most of them are thrifted. I actually have 44 books here. 12 of them are new from the bookstore, and then 32 of them are from the, like 5 different thrift store options, basically. So, okay. I am on a quest to grow my physical book collection. For the majority of, so basically when I got back into reading in 2018, for the first 5 years of reading, basically until the beginning of this year, 99.9% of the books I read were audiobooks. So I don't have the books that I really loved and wanted to kind of own. I haven't bought them yet, or I hadn't bought them yet at the beginning of the year. And one of the goals for this year, or goals, I don't know if that's the right word, but one of the objectives of the year was to start to grow my physical book collection. So I have this dream of having a home library. I would like to have like walls and walls of books. I have a very small apartment, and I also have this vintage wall-mounted bookshelves system thingy, which is tricky to get a hold of, and it's expensive because it's vintage. So I'm not like, I can't just, because I want to continue on with that shelving system, I don't want to go and buy like bookcases from like IKEA or a place like that. Nothing wrong with that, but it's just I really want to I have this kind of vintage vibe in my apartment. So also because of that, I don't have that much space at the moment, but I'm still buying a lot of books. I am, so yeah. Maybe at the end of the video I can show you how it looks like now, and we'll see. But anyway, I have dreams. So I have dreams, people. At the beginning of the year, I also set the rule when I decided that I was going to start to buy books, that first of all that I would try my best to buy as many of them used. Both because that's obviously much cheaper, but also I think it's just more sustainable for our planet. And I think at the end of the year, maybe I will tally like the percentage of thrifted books versus new books. But I don't know, I don't have that number at the moment. But anyway, I definitely have bought a lot of new books from like bookstores and Amazon and stuff like that. But I have also bought a lot of books used from different thrift stores here in Iceland. Yes, so that's one of the goals. Another goal of mine, or another like rule that I set, was to only buy my 5-star reads, that are like books I've already read and I gave 5 stars and the occasional 4 stars. So that rule has just gone out the window. Well, no, it hasn't gone out the window. I am still, if I see a book that I've listened to as an audiobook or read as a library book or on my Kindle, I see it, and I don't own it, I might buy it, or I probably will buy it, even if not at the exact moment, maybe later on. But I want to own my 5-star books for sure. And several of my 4-star books, basically if I feel that I might want to read it again, I would like to own a physical copy so that I have the option of reading it or annotating or whatever if I listen to it again. So because I do that. I do reread books quite often. If I really enjoy them, I will definitely read them again. But I think I'm going to give you the numbers at the end of the video of how many books I own after this haul that I have not read. Because I think I'm going to change my rule a little bit about my buying of books rule. But let's just start by going through the books that I bought. I'm going to start with the new books. None of these I think are, well, a couple of them might be more like newer releases, but most of them are like older releases, but brand new copies. So let's just get into that. So the university has a bookstore. The University of Iceland has a really good bookstore, and they have a lot of classics. They have some fantasy. I mean, they don't have a huge collection, but they do have some really good books. And I find that their prices are usually a little bit cheaper than from the big bookstore chain here in Iceland. So I love going there and finding interesting books. So let me see, I'm going to start. I have here four classics. In October, I think that there is this Victober read-along where we are reading Victorian literature. And I do already own like Elizabeth Gaskell and Charles Dickens, Thomas Hardy. So I already have books that I can read for that. But I also been very curious to read Wilkie Collins. And so when I saw this book at the university bookstore, I just went for it. Now, Armadale is not, I don't think it's one of his most famous books. Definitely The Moonstone or The Lady in White might have been a wiser choice to begin with, but this was the only Wilkie Collins they had, and I'm very curious about this book. It is, it doesn't really say what it's about, but I really don't know anything about this book other than it's Wilkie Collins. But so this is definitely going to be going on my pile of possibilities for October. I'm very happy with that I have it. And I like the Oxford editions. I think they are very lovely, like look very nice, and that they have excellent notes or at least like introductions and maybe some notes in the back here. Yes, and notes and stuff like that. So that's really good, I think, sometimes when you're reading classics, because things can sometimes be complicated, and it's good to have someone explain things to you. So we have Armadale by Wilkie Collins. Another project that I might undertake next year is I want to read Ulysses by James Joyce. This year I read Dubliners and I absolutely fell in love with it, but I know that it's quite different from Ulysses, which is considered to be quite complicated and a masterpiece, but it's a complicated book and it's obviously huge as well. So I'm thinking that I might want to read his other books. So he has Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, I believe, and then he also has Finnegan's Wake. I can't remember at the moment if there is one more. I feel like never mind. I will figure that out. But yeah, so when I saw Finnegan's Wake in this edition, I think this is such a beautiful edition, and I don't know what it is. Is it Alma Classics? It's very nice. It looks very beautiful on the shelf. And also a good introduction, and I think also maybe extra material and stuff like that. So I think that would be very interesting to read. I'm thinking maybe next year I will do like a James Joyce project, but I'm not 100% sure. But at least I have the book. And then another thing that I'm really interested in reading, doing a little project about is Sherlock Holmes. So I've listened to all of Sherlock Holmes a couple of years ago, narrated by Stephen Fry, and most of them were on Audible. I don't have Audible at the moment, and I don't want to pay for that in order to listen to Sherlock Holmes, because I do have another audiobook app that I pay. It's quite expensive because I pay for the premium account, and so I don't want to add to pay more, and they don't have Sherlock Holmes on that audiobook app. I think it's like exclusively for Audible. So I'm thinking that maybe I should just read Sherlock Holmes. I do own one of the short story collections, and I found these two at the university bookstore. So Collins Classics, I mean, this is a very affordable editions or like publication. And I mean, it's not necessarily the most beautiful or whatever, but I think they are perfectly fine. I'm not very picky necessarily about having only the penguin or only the whatever. I don't mind buying the cheaper versions of books if that's available to me, and obviously more affordable. So here we have The Valley of Fear and the case book of Sherlock Holmes. The case book, I think, is definitely short stories, several short stories here. So I think that's really interesting. And The Valley of Fear, it's also short stories. So I really love Sherlock Holmes, and I think that because I've been reading a lot of Agatha Christie, and she was very highly influenced, like the relationship between Sherlock Holmes and Watson is very similar to what she created between Poirot and Hastings. So I think it would be really fun, now that I've read Agatha Christie and I'm rereading Poirot at the moment, to read Sherlock Holmes and kind of see the similarities and differences and stuff like that. So I have a couple of, also I think a book by him from the thrift store as well. But yeah, so I'm definitely on the hunt so that I have the entire collection. But those were the classics that I got at the university bookstore. And I've been kind of getting, I love fantasy, and I've been reading fantasy for years, but most of the fantasy that I've been reading has been Lord of the Rings trilogy and The Hobbit. I've just been rereading that like all the time. But I've been branching out into Brandon Sanderson, but I'm also thinking that wouldn't it be fun, because Tolkien, even though I love his work, I absolutely love his work, it is very male dominating. There are very few female characters, and even fewer strong female characters in Tolkien. So I'm thinking that maybe I should try to read more fantasy with female characters, or even with like feminist messages. So I did some Googling, and I found Samantha Shannon, and I've been seeing a lot of people talk about this book. And so she is known for her Boine, what's it called, her series, the Boine season series, where there are 4 books, I think. But I think this is a standalone, or this is a first book in a new series, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, so this is, what does it say here? A feminist successor to The Lord of the Rings. So, a masterpiece of intricate world building with the depth, complexity, heart and soul of a timelessly relevant classic. Yeah, a magnificent epic. I mean, there's just like so much praise for this book. And I've seen that it's quite highly rated as well. And I'm sure there are people who don't like it, but most of the people that I follow here on BookTube definitely seem to like it, at least if they like fantasy in general. So I really look forward to, I have no idea when I will get to it. I have so many, like I'm already in like several series of fantasy and sci-fi, but this book, I'm very excited about this book. And then also at the university bookstore, I found 3 kind of classic contemporary, well, they're not really contemporary. I mean, the first one is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. So this is obviously a modern classic. I think that's what would be classified. I mean, it's from the early 90s. So I find it very uncomfortable to classify books as a modern classic if they were born when I was a teenager, if they were made when I was a teenager or before, after I was born. But this is a book I feel that I need to read. Everybody, it's just a book that you should read. It's that's a message. Oh, everybody, and I've been seeing it around a lot lately, so I don't know why that is. But this is dark academia, some classics professor, New England College. It's just right up my alley. And I've heard about this book for many years, but I just never kind of went for it. So I'm really excited about that. And then we have two books that are more new. One of them is, I think they are both from last year, 2023, 2024 even. So The Bandit Queens. A lot of people here on YouTube have been reading this book. So I want to read it as well. And I think it's really a fascinating premise. A woman's husband dies. People in the village think that she killed him. So the other women in the village come to her to ask her to kill their husband or help them kill their husbands. It takes place in India. It's, I think, quite serious, the topic of domestic violence and violence against women. But also I think people seem to think that it's also kind of maybe dark humor. Anyway, I really look forward to reading this book, hopefully soon. And then also this one. This one I think was very close to winning the Women's Prize for Fiction this year. This takes place in Palestine. A young actress of Palestine descent goes back to Palestine, I think the West Bank, and takes part in a production of Hamlet. And things are just kind of happening. I don't really know that much about the plot. But I thought it's been talked about and praised a lot. And of course, with all the horrific events happening in Palestine, I thought it would be very kind of relevant to read a book that takes place over there. So I'm very excited about reading this book. So then I went to our big kind of bookstore chain that we have here in Iceland, where they have huge selection of books. And I bought this one. I am collecting all of Agatha Christie's books. I have 5 that are just new and fresh. And then I have 32 that are thrifted. So I have quite a few already, but I want all of them, and so I'm slowly buying all of them because these editions are, I think, quite pricey. But this is this is the second book in the Poirot series, and I love all of the books. I mean, this is probably not my favorite, but it's The Murder on the Links. But it's really beautiful love story between Hastings and one of the female characters there, and people getting murdered as per usual in a Poirot book. So sometimes I'm like, should I be buying this edition? Because I'm not necessarily a huge fan, but I also just want to own them. So I'm a little bit conflicted sometimes, but I'm very happy that I have this book. And then the last book that I bought at that bookstore is The Final Empire, the first book in the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. I am currently reading it, as you can see, and I was going to read this as an audiobook for June, but then I discovered that I don't have it in my audiobook app, which I thought I did, but I don't. So I just ran out and bought a copy. I kind of wish I had gone to a library first and been sensible about it so that I would know if I actually liked it. But now that I've started reading it, I really do like it. It is probably more YA than I expected, but I still am enjoying it so much that I went to another bookstore that is very much a fantasy-based bookstore, and I bought the other two. So now I have the let me see, all of the three Mistborn trilogy, and I think there are 6 or 7 books in the series, but at least I have the first trilogy now, and I think that these look so good, like they're gonna look so good on the shelf. So those were the new books that I bought, and spent way too much money, of course, but you know, I'm an independent woman. I can do what I want. So now we're gonna talk about my thrifted books. Oh, where can I put this? Can I put it here? So the thrifted books, I have categorized them. We have a huge thrift store here called the Good Shepherd, or charity shop really. And then I went there. I also went to 2 other charity shops that also sell books, and one like free library type of a thing. And also I bought one book at this book cafe that also sometimes have discounted books. So these books most of them cost like €1 or €2. Several of them were like under euro, like 80 cents probably. But I think most of them were about 250 crowns, which is almost €2, approximately €2. So that's a very good deal, and most of these books are in excellent condition. So I have 3 books here at the first that I'm kind of regretting having bought. I mean, they were very cheap, so that's fine. I want to read them, and I have read them. I have read one of them, and I want to read the other ones, but they are not in even though I don't really care too much about like the edition that whether it's from what publisher or if it's mass market or not. These are kind of maybe too mass market. So the first one is The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. And this is a kind of historical thriller, I think. So we have this monk who is somebody is killing monks in an isolated medieval monastery, and William of Baskerville, a visiting Franciscan monk, is trying to solve it with his I think he has like a sidekick with him. And I've seen the movie, but I haven't read this book, and I would actually really love to read this book. But this is kind of a battered copy, and it's also just, these type of books, they're very short, I wish it was a little bit taller. But even if I just read it and then don't it again, that's fine. Another book that I kind of regret having bought is Hannibal by Thomas Harris. I would love to own the series, like Silence of the Lambs, Red Dragon, and Hannibal, but I think I would like to own it in a more beautiful copy. But I want to read them. I haven't read these books, and I would really like to read them. I've seen the movies, but I haven't read the books. And these are obviously classic horror, thrillers for sure. So might just end up reading them and reading this one and then donating it again. We'll see what I do, but at least I have it, and I definitely plan on reading it. And then I have this one with Diana Gabaldon's A Dragonfly in Amber, which is what number is it of the Outlander series? I'm not 100% sure, but it's one of the Outlander novels, and I bought it because I've read all the 9 books, and I'm waiting very impatiently for the 10th book to be released. And I love this series. I think it's so good. I've listened to them as audiobooks narrated by Davina Porter. Most of them I think I've listened to twice because they're just that good. And I definitely want to own the series when it's complete. But I think that this is definitely, I don't know if I would buy like all of them at once or start to buy them just slowly from like Amazon or a place like that where I can find them, because I don't know, I haven't seen them here in Iceland in the bookstores. And I have a feeling that they're gonna be taller again. So I don't know, maybe I will buy the first couple and see how it fits with this one, if they look the same, and then I can just keep it. But otherwise I'm definitely gonna be getting rid of it, so that it, like, I don't want my books all to look the same, but I prefer if, at least if I have a series, I would like the series to look the same. It annoys me if one book in a series is like different. I don't know, maybe that's just ridiculous, but that's how I feel. Anyway, so those were a couple of thrillers. Then I have, I was very excited when I found this one. So this is Mary Westmacott, which was an alias for, or a pen name for Agatha Christie. The Unfinished Portrait. I have no idea. There's like Spectre of Evil. Oh yeah. Isolated Spanish town. This is like a horror, or I don't know exactly what this is. I just want it because I want everything that Agatha Christie has ever written. And it's going to be really interesting to actually read this, because I think it's very, I don't know if it's going to be very different from her other work, but I'm very curious, very curious. And then I have 3 fantasy type of books, or magical realism type of books. Like I said before, I'm really curious to read more kind of fantasy written by women, or with like stronger female characters. And that's actually in the Sanderson book, that one of the female characters is definitely a strong female character. But yeah, so I found this one at the thrift store, and look at it. It's like brand new. It's ridiculous. You might have thought, like, it looks like I would have just bought it at the normal bookstore, but it was at the thrift store for €2. So the Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. I've been wanting to read the Atlas series. I think there are 3 of them. The Atlas 6 trilogy, yeah. So I'm definitely curious about this one. I'm very happy that I found the first one very cheap. And I do have it as an audiobook as well, so maybe I will listen to it at some point. But yeah, so I have the Atlas 6. So that's very exciting. And then I found this book by Neil Gaiman. I think that this would be considered probably magical realism rather than fantasy, for sure, because it does take place in this world. I have no idea. I've never heard of this book. I just saw Neil Gaiman and I'm fascinated by him a little bit. And but yeah, a middle-aged man returns to his childhood home to attend a funeral. Anyway, he hasn't thought of this girl in decades, and so seems to be like remembering things from his childhood or something. Very excited about this one. And then actually at the book cafe, I found this one by Brandon Sanderson called Legion. Again, I have never heard about this, and it was like €4. So I just like, yeah, why not? I mean, I'm liking Brandon Sanderson, what I've read so far. And this is, yes, so he is, Stephen Leeds seems to be able to tap into imaginary experts that populate his mind. So he has hallucinations, and it's very, yeah, very like fantasy type, like, so very, very, very fascinated by this. The next batch of books are all sorts of books, but they are probably none of them would be considered classics, maybe modern classics, some of them, but for the most part they are just contemporary fiction that was written in our contemporary life, but some of them are I think historical novels and stuff like that. So Kristin Hanna's The Nightingale, and this is also such a, I mean, you can see that it's a little bit old, but it's so such a nice So when is it from? Oh, there's no, what? Why is there no like copyright? Oh, there it is. 2015, yeah. I've seen people reading Kristín Hanna here on BookTube, and this one is, I think, one of her best, or at least it's definitely been highly regarded by many, at least. So when I saw it, I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna buy it. This is an Icelandic translation of Milan Kundera's Unbearable Lightness of Being, which I've been wanting to read for a while. It was on my TBR, I think, for May, but I just didn't get to it. I have it as an audiobook as well. So this is a classic. It takes place in Czechoslovakia, and something about when the Soviets are, doing their thing there. So I think it's a historical novel. I think, did Kundera win the Nobel Prize? I think, at least I know that he's a very famous author, and so I'm happy that I have the Icelandic translation. This is a book that I've read. I read it in April or May. It's Burial Rites by Hannah Kent, and oh my God, this is one of the best books that I've read this year. It takes place in Iceland. It tells the story of Agnes, who was the last person to be executed in Iceland in 1830. And she does it so well. The author is Australian, but her research and her knowledge of kind of the Icelandic psyche is just so well done. I think that this is a movie already or soon, but 100% recommend this book. It's really good, and I'm very happy that I have my audiobook trophy now. And I'm probably gonna reread this at some point. So then we have All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Dooway. So this is, I think, a classic, and this won the Pulitzer Prize. And I know that there's a Netflix series. I think I want to try to read the book before I watch the Netflix series. I do have it as an audiobook as well, so that would be wonderful. So it's basically this young girl in Paris, so she's in Paris. It's a young girl who is blind and is living in Paris with her father, and she kind of knows her way around her neighborhood. And then, the Nazis invade Paris and things start to happen. So very, very excited about this book. And it's not the perfect condition, but it's really fun. Also, it seems to, I think it was bought either in Norway, Sweden, or Denmark, because it's got Akademi Bokhandelen. That may have been Swedish. Or maybe Danish. Akademi Bokhandelen. 159 crowns it cost. So that's kind of fun to see. And yeah, so we have that. Oh my God, I was so excited when I saw this book. This is the book A Man Called Uwe by Fredrik Backman. And I'm so happy because Ellen at Ellen Made Book Club, they are reading this book, I think, for July. So I might actually just jump on that and read this book in her book club, since I managed to get the Icelandic translation. So that's very exciting. And it looks brand new. It's a little bit bent, and of course I really want to get into Fredrik Backman. He's a fantastic author, and I've seen a couple of interviews with him, and he just seems like a nice man as well. So I would really like to read more of him. Yeah, so I'm really excited about this book. Okay, let's keep on going. Then I found this book, The Other Boleyn Girl by Philippa Gregory. I read this book a few years ago. I read, Philippa Gregory wrote several of these kind of historical romance, I suppose you could say. I don't know if you would say, I think they are probably romance books. but I think I've definitely read several of her books, and I really like this one. This is the story of Mary Boleyn, who's a sister of Anne Boleyn, and so she's, it's a story of a woman who's kind of the victim of her circumstances and, things like that. But I think it's, I'm very happy that I have the copy. And this is a pretty good, beautiful copy. Then we have Gabriel Garcia Marquez, 100 Years of Solitude in the Icelandic translation. So that's really cool. Gabriel Garcia, no, it's Garcia, right? Because he's Colombian. Garcia Marquez, he won the Nobel Prize, I think. But I've been wanting to read him for sure, and I'm very excited to have a couple of more books now from South America. So very excited about that book. And then the last kind of from more modern authors is Elena Ferrantes, My Brilliant Friend, the last 3 books. So I bought the first book in this series, which is called My Brilliant Friend, in like April, I don't remember, a couple of months ago. But then I found the rest of them at the thrift store, and I'm like so happy about it. So these are, it takes place in Naples, in Italy, in the 60s, I think. Or starts at least in the 60s, and then obviously follows the life of the main character and her friend. And I don't know that much. I know that there's a TV show that I haven't really watched that much of, but so I'm very excited about that. And they're fairly good. They're a little bit, but they're pretty good condition. So we're gonna finish off this haul with the classics that I found, and I'm very excited about those. Okay, I cannot believe how happy I am that I found this. Bought like €2. I bought it for €2. Paradise Lost by John Milton. I have no idea when I will actually read it, but I saw it and I thought, of course I have to buy it. Like, it's Penguin, and it's John Milton, and it's Paradise Lost, and it's just famous, and so I was very happy about finding that one. And then let me see. I have, some other interesting, because I have a lot of actually American classics, which is exciting. A couple months ago, I read The Man Who Would Be King by Rudyard Kipling. Kipling won the Nobel Prize in 1909, I think, if I remember. In case you didn't know, I have a project of reading all of the Nobel Prize winners, year-long project. But I really didn't like that. But I thought, you know what, I should give him another chance. So I decided to go ahead and buy this when I saw it, Kim. This is, I think, one of his more famous works. And it's about this boy, I think in India. So this Kimball O'Hara is left to fend for himself on the streets of Lahore in India. So he's an English boy who was born, his father was an English soldier, but he's in India and he's like, I don't know, does he become a beggar or is he a spy? I think it's actually a children's book, which is fine. But so I look forward to maybe at some point giving Kipling another chance. And like I said before, I am wanting to read all of Sherlock Holmes. So I'm I'm collecting all of his books again, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's books. So I found The Hound of Baskerville. It's not necessarily the most beautiful edition of it. Maybe at some point I will buy a lovely, beautiful edition of like all of Sherlock Holmes, but I'm excited that I have it, and I'm very, very excited about reading it. And then the most fun find of the thrift store. Right Ho, Jeeves by P.G. Wodehouse. Is it Wodehouse or Woodhouse? I don't know. Have you seen yeah, I think this is, oh my god, this is gonna be so much fun. Is this Jeeves, you know, from Hugh Laurie and Stephen Fry TV show? I'm not 100% sure, but I think so, because I think that was Woodhouse as well. But I think this is going to be a hilarious read. Okay, so next, all the rest of the books are American classics, and I thought I read a lot of English, UK classics, English basically, and I thought, you know, maybe I should branch out a little bit in the classics department, and I do have some Russian as well, but I thought maybe some Americans, so I have quite a few actually. So I found this one, Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. I do own her To the Lighthouse. I haven't read that one, so it will be, sorry, it's like dust from these books. Anyway, that's one book that I want to read. And then also I found some Henry James. I read Turn of the Screw this year, and I like his writing style for sure. I'm not 100% sure if I like that book, but I wanted to read more of him. So here we have The Portrait of a Lady and Washington Square. I think both of these are interesting, and I really look forward to reading more of Henry James. So I think it's just very interesting to kind of look at the differences between American classics and UK classics. I found The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. I actually read this book many years ago, and I enjoyed it. I think, at least when I see it, I'm like, oh, I should read that again. So I think it's quite interesting to read about kind of people's experiences back in the day, and obviously this takes place like in a very Puritan society in the US or the America at the time, and you know, a woman being ostracized and, you know, all those things. I saw the movie, so I think I like that one. But anyway, I think this is also probably quite heavy and dense, so I don't know when I will get to it, but I will at some point. I found Mark Twain's The Adventure of Huckleberry Finn. I remember reading this one as well when I was a teenager probably, or child. I think it may have been an abridged translated version, but I did enjoy it, and I know that today it's a little bit problematic for sure, but I still think that it's important to read these books to kind of see maybe how we should not depict certain people. Anyway, I'm excited to have that. I found this one. I didn't even know that this was a book. I've definitely seen the movie more than once, but this is Truman Capote's Breakfast at Tiffany's. So we have Holly Golightly, pursued by mafia gangsters and playboy millionaires. So that's gonna be a fun read. Another heavy book is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, Pulitzer Prize winner. And this is a book about a black man being accused of raping a white woman, and it takes place in the South, in the deep South in the US, and it's just a very like haunting tale of racism and kind of the society back, you know, post, I don't know when it takes place, if it's post the not apartheid, what was it called in the South? Yeah, so anyway, I think it will be very interesting, and probably also quite a difficult read for sure. Another book that I found was Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. This is a book that I wanted to read. I've never read it. I know that it's definitely not a book that you read here in your English class in school, at least not in my schools. So, but I know that it's a very popular book in schools in the US. Yeah, so I'm very excited about reading this one. I'm not 100% a fan of this copy, but anyway, I think that it's very interesting. I think this one was first published 1945. Oh, I didn't know it was that old. I remember, I think was it in the movie Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson, that he's been like brainwashed and whatever, and he's like, this is like, he always has a copy of Catcher in the Rye. Anyway, and then almost the last one is The House of Mirth by Edith Wharton. I really enjoyed The Age of Innocence that I read in June. So when I saw that this book, I've decided to go ahead and get it, so that because I would like to read more of her books. And The House of Mirth, I think, is also the late 19th century. Yeah, Gilded Age. Oh, there are illustrations. Ooh. Oh. Oh. That's cool. So it's this Norton Critical Edition of Edith Wharton's quintessential novel of the Gilded Age reprints the 1905 Scribner's magazine text, including the 8 original illustrations. Oh, how fun. Okay, this is gonna be, I think this is gonna be an interesting read. I think I'm probably gonna read, like I think I have it as an audiobook, I'm not sure, but it would be fun maybe to read this one because, but it's interesting, the former owner has like done some underlining, and maybe they were reading this for school. But anyway, so the last books that I have are these beautiful, beautiful books. And this is Gone with the Wind. I forgot the English title. Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. And I just bought them because of this. I know that's also a little bit of a problematic book. But again, I also think that it's important to read and to kind of educate yourself about how things have thankfully changed in literature, and today you would not write about people the way you wrote about them back in the day. So this is just such a beautiful copy, like look at it. And I like the fact that, so one of the reasons why I wanted to buy it is because the title, Á hverfanda hveli in Icelandic, today the V here would be an F. So it's an old book. This one is from 1941. I don't know if you can see it here. 1941. So in today it would be with an F, hverfanda hveli, but here it is with an V. So I thought that was really, and this just looks so beautiful. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful edition. So those were the books that I bought from the thrift store, and few of them were new. 44 books in total, and I'm now going to put them on my shelf and then show you kind of how my shelf is looking. So here we have the view of my bookshelves as they are looking at the moment. I did get quite a few also in my top here for my Icelandic book collection, but I didn't show those in the haul because I didn't think it was relevant. But as you can see, I've moved things around. Well, if you noticed at least, I've moved things around. I've added a couple of shelves here that I didn't have before, and so I removed like a short Billy bookcase here, and I think I've added 2 shelves. I'm not sure. 2 shelves, yeah. No, 3 shelves. Yeah, I've added 3 shelves to them that I got at the thrift store a few days ago. And so this is how it's looking. And I mean, I still have plenty of room for books, so I can definitely add, but I'm really liking how it looks. So I did count my books because I want to kind of keep a little bit of a tally of all the books that I own. And Well, this is excluding my academic books. I have maybe 30 books that I use either for my research or for teaching at the university, and most of them are at my office on campus, and so I didn't count them. I didn't think that was necessary, but in total I now own 373 books. So that's pretty good. I'm very happy about that, for sure. My kind of dream is to have 1,000 books. So I still have a way to go. I don't know if I will be able to fulfill that dream, at least not while I live in this apartment. And I don't know if I'm going to live in this apartment for the rest of my life or not. So maybe I won't be able to have my 1,000 books, but at least I have a dream to aspire to. And so I also decided to read, to count the books that I haven't read that I own. And those are 77 books. So I have 77 books on my shelves that I have not read. I think I'm going to do a video later on, either in July or August, where I'm going to just kind of talk about how I want to tackle my physical TBR, or if it's something that I need to tackle. Maybe I don't. 77 books. I don't necessarily need or want to have like 0 physical TBR, but I feel that maybe 50 should be like the maximum, and that I'm not allowed to buy new books I haven't read if I have more than 50 unread books. I don't know. I'm gonna think about that a little bit in the next few weeks before I make a decision. But I think that's gonna be a separate video where we talk about most things. But yeah, so my book collection is growing. It's beautiful. There's a stand here by my little home office area, and I watch them over there. It's so beautiful. It brings me so much joy. So much joy. Anyway, I think I'm gonna wrap the video up now. I think it's probably quite long. Thank you so much if you're still here. Thank you for watching all the way through. Let me know if you have any thoughts about any of the books I showed, or about having a physical TBR, if that's what you have, or if you are more of a just no physical TBR and just having books that you already read. I used to be the type of person that I would get like stressed if I had a lot of unread books. I don't know, maybe my kind of thinking is changing. I'm not sure, but anyway, let's have a chat in the comments if you have any thoughts. Other than that, just thank you for watching again, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.